Welcome to Houston Real Estate Radio. I'm your host, Shannon Register, and we are bringing you a big topic today on Proposition 2. We have 7 constitutional amendments out there on the ballot for November 7th. So we've got a lot of exciting things to talk about today. This is going to be a really interesting statewide topic. So I've got a great guest on today from the Texas Association of Realtors. He is Skyping in Daniel Gonzalez. Welcome to the show.
Thank you very much, Shannon. Appreciate you having me on.
So you're Skyping in from Austin, and look what came in the mail for me. Look at that. I got some great stuff in the mail. So
real pieces.
Some great pieces came in the mail. So a lot of people, a lot of homeowners around the state are going to be getting mail on this, are going to be hearing about this. A lot of people talking about it. Why are we hearing about this? What's going on?
Yeah, so every 2 years, the legislature meets and they debate various issues, and many of these issues deal with amending the Texas Constitution. Mm-hmm. So every November of every odd year, we have a constitutional amendments election, and we'll have anywhere from 2 to 15 different amendments on the ballot for voters to decide. And this year we have 7 on the November 7th ballot. And Proposition 2 is one of those amendments to the Constitution that we are really in favor of. And the reason is because it modernizes the home equity provisions in the Texas Constitution. This law allowing for homeowners to receive a home equity loan was passed in 1997. And now 20 years later, we need to modernize it because things change. And I would just like to say, Shannon, that you're not driving the same car you drove in 1997.
Thank the Lord.
That's right. My little Honda Civic, God bless my Honda Civic, but I don't want to drive it anymore. But it's time to modernize, the provisions in the Constitution. That's exactly what Proposition 2 does.
So Proposition 2 is the one that is most important to homeowners right now. And tell me about it. What is it that pertains so much to homeowners?
Sure. So Proposition 2, as I mentioned, it modernizes the home equity provisions in the Texas Constitution. What it basically does, Shannon, is it allows homeowners to have more choices as they may want to get a home equity loan from a lender in Texas. And what I mean by that is there are still the certain provisions in the Constitution, like the 80% loan to value that will still be there, the 12-day waiting period, the non-recourse on these loans. But as you refinance in the future, after you have these for 1 year, you will have now an option, if Proposition 2 passes, of whether or not you refinance that loan under the provisions in the Constitution currently that relate to home equity, or you can certainly refinance that loan as a simple rate and term. So basically take it outside of the constitutional protections in the Constitution for home equity loan.
So the protections that are already there protected us in the downturn, like back in the 80s. And
sure.
And currently we had a downturn more recently. So what's the difference now?
Yeah, so all of those provisions are still in place and will remain in place even if Proposition 2 passes. What this will do is just give more homeowners more options as they move forward with the refinancing. But it also changes the fee cap that currently exists in the Constitution relating to home equity loans. Right now, your fee cap is 3%, so fees associated with that loan can be no more than 3% of the total loan. So again, if you have a $50,000 loan, 3%, $1,500. This Proposition 2 will lower that fee cap to 2%, but it also takes some cost drivers out from the calculation of the fee cap. Some of these costs that a lender has no bearing, they have no control over these costs at all. Things like a title insurance policy, an appraisal, or a survey.
Okay, let's talk a little bit about how this changes things for landowners in Texas, because this is quite a big change for people who live on large homesteads.
Oh, yeah, no, absolutely. Back in 1997, I like to say that we've always had a conservative legislature. We just, elected officials just chose to put a D or an R by their name. But we had a very conservative Democrat legislature back in 1997 that put a provision in place that said if you have a property that has an ag evaluation on it, you are not permitted to get a home equity loan. Now, 20 years later, things have changed a little bit. We're more comfortable with these types of loans in Texas, because Shannon, you have to remember, in 1997, Texas was the last state to approve home equity loans in the union. And when the legislature deemed that it was time for us to have these types of loans, we wanted to make sure that we did it right in Texas. And that's why it took, I think, a long time for it to pass in Texas. But now we have 20 years worth of experience. We don't see a lot of the problems that other states have had with home equity loans. That's because of the strong protections that we currently have in the Constitution. But yeah, if you're a rural landowner, if Proposition 2 passes, you will now have the ability to get a home equity loan. Currently, you're prevented from doing that.
And I think that is really good for a lot of families because they're trying to send their kids to college. They're trying to do a lot of things that they may not have had to do in the past. You know, for example, a lot of people could graduate high school, continue to carry on the family cattle ranch, and they didn't have to go to college.
Right.
You really need college now, no matter what you're getting into. So they may need to access that capital.
Yeah, no, you're absolutely right, and that's something that that was one of the reasons why we did support this amendment through the legislative process. Is we just need to give people more options, allow them to make their own decisions, and whether or not they want to have a home equity loan or not. This doesn't force anybody to take a home equity loan.
Right.
It just allows them to have the option of taking a home equity loan. The one thing I'll also mention too, Shannon, is that if Proposition 2 passes, we will now allow more people to have access to a home equity loan. And what I mean by that is a lot of people are prevented from getting a home equity loan because the loan is too small. And with that reduction in the fee cap, that will help a lot of these smaller loans to be made by lenders. So if you have $20,000 or $30,000 in equity, you'll be able to tap that equity with a home equity loan under the current provisions. Many lenders won't make those loans because the fee cap prevents them from making that loan.
So they'll be able to make smaller loans for small renovation projects or just smaller things, which keeps
exactly
people from
right.
going and getting a signature loan that has a really incredibly high interest rate on it. So it's good for homeowners, I think. Exactly
right. That's a great point, too. So instead of getting one of those types of loans that have a higher interest rate, maybe they can get a $20,000, $30,000 loan for a simple kitchen remodel. There's nothing simple about a kitchen remodel. But whether it's a kitchen remodel or bathroom remodel, certainly, they could have a smaller loan if they have a smaller project.
Yeah, I'm definitely supporting Proposition 2 because I feel like it's my home equity, and I ought to be able to, to have options for that money. People put a lot of money in their homes in Texas. That's where the majority of our wealth is. And so I believe that Proposition 2 is going to be a good thing for our state.
So we could not agree with you more. We think it's time for these loans to be able to be accessible by all homeowners in Texas. And homeowners can make the best decisions for themselves. They don't need government to intrude in their personal lives. Proposition 2 still has all the constitutional protections in place. This just allows more options for your equity that you may have in your property.
So November 7th, we've got to get a lot of people out to the polls to be able to pass this, to vote yes for Proposition 2. I think there's probably going to be some low voter turnout, though, because it's not a presidential election. It's not a big election. So what can you do to spread the word about this? Just talk to your friends, family, neighbors.
Yeah, absolutely. Definitely, go to our website, TexansForProp2.com, and that's FOR, Texans, FOR, for Prop2.com. You can also find us on social media. We have Facebook as well as Twitter. So you can find us there. We have all our information up on the website. We are sending out mail pieces, as you mentioned earlier, to about 1.2 million households in Texas. But it will be a very low turnout. Low turnout is expected in these types of elections, and that's okay. But we want to make sure that we get the right information in the hands of the right people who are going to come out and vote. I would also mention too that if people have any other questions about the other 6 propositions that are on the ballot, we also have a website for that, TexasRealtorsSupport.com, and I'll say that again. TexasRealtorsSupport.com. And we have information on all 7 of the propositions that are on the ballot for your listeners to go and visit as well.
Fantastic. All right. I appreciate it. And hopefully they will go read them because you don't want to be standing in front of the ballot and not know what you're reading. So it's good to read them ahead of time and make sure you understand them. Thank you so much for coming on, Daniel Gonzalez from the Texas Association of Realtors. He's the Director of Legislative Affairs, and we appreciate you clarifying Prop 2 for us.
Great. Thank you again for having me on.
All right. Thanks. We'll be right back after a word from our sponsors here on Houston Real Estate Radio.
Imagine you and your family return from a tropical vacation to find that one of your pipes burst, flooding your entire house. Are you fully covered? Will you only receive $100 for your TV that cost you $2,000 just 2 years ago? Will your insurance company pay for you to live in a hotel while your home is being repaired? What if on that same trip you lose your wedding ring? Will your home insurance coverage replace that as well? All insurance policies are not created equal. If you don't know the answer to these questions, you're not alone. Most people don't understand the gaps in their coverage until it's too late. Call Goosehead Insurance today and let one of our agents review your current policy to ensure that you are fully covered. At Goosehead Insurance, we understand the power of choice. Instead of working for a single insurance company, our agents have access to over 20 A-rated carriers. This allows us to craft a policy to fit your particular lifestyle, budget, and needs. It also enables us to reshop your policy in the future, if necessary, saving you time and money. No need to look for another agent. At Goosehead, we've got you covered. Our agents will walk you through each policy decision so that you have the coverage you need. If that's not reason enough, talk to one of our happy clients. Our client satisfaction scores are 3 times the industry average. To experience the Goosehead Insurance difference, visit us online at goosehead.com or call us at 800-474-1377.